YouTube, what's going on, man? How y'all doing out there? How y'all doing today? We are about to watch. This is what happens to your body when you smoke crack. So, don't smoke no crack. It's a real video though. I'm serious though. It say what happens to your body when you smoke crack. Let's get into this video. And y'all don't do no crack out there. Yes, indeed.
Of all drug-related emergency room visits are from just one substance, you know you're dealing with something that shouldn't be messed with. Thermal injuries, hypothermia, kidney damage, crack lung, crack belly.
This nigga said kidney damage, cracked lung, cracked belly.
Not to mention the deadly, excited delirium.
This nigga tripping, boy. You on that motherfucker beating, boy. He said, open up, I need more.
And consequence of a life on crack. You'll hear about these things and much more in today's episode of the Infographic Show. What happens to your body if you do crack?
He said, what happens to your body if you do crack?
The horrors that long-term use does to the human body, we should try to figure out what makes people keep reaching for the pipe, even when they know it's doing untold damage.
Yeah,
people
killing
who've done crack just about all say the same thing about their very first hit. It's like a super orgasm. Like your brain is on a rocket ship on a mission to planet Euphoria. Or as one user said, you feel like Superman for 10 minutes. And there is the problem. 10 minutes. It might even be less. Maybe more like 5 minutes. Another crack user said his first time featured orgasmic feelings running up and down my spine.
He said it was orgasmic feelings running up and down my spine trying that shit. What?
Into infinity.
78 organs and 206 bones.
Me no give no fuck. 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 Fuck your ass.
And at the end of that very positive review, he said, best 5
nigga teeth fucked up. Look at them shits.
minutes ever. After the intense blast off, your spaceship comes hurtling back down to Earth and lands with a resounding thud. And that's when the novice user might utter the infamous words, have you got any more? Crack is very
have you got any more?
Over 6 million people over the age of 12 in the US will know this because statistically
over 6 million people over the age of 12. So you telling me you got 12-year-olds out here smoking crack? 13-year-olds out here smoking crack in America? Just for fun? Just 12 and 13 years old on crack? Nigga, what the fuck?
At least once in their lifetime. When you snort the
Where your parents
powder
at?
cocaine, the drug enters your bloodstream via blood vessels in your nose, which is a longer route to get all those happy chemicals, mainly dopamine flooding into what experts call your brain's hedonistic hotspots.
Yeah.
When you take a hit of the crack pipe, the smoke hits your lungs and disperses into your bloodstream fast, making the high immediate. So you take that first hit of the pipe, your heart rate suddenly increases, your pupils dilate, and your blood pressure and temperature rise.
I just be wondering what make a motherfucker be like, man, you know what? I'm gonna smoke some crack today. Like, what the fuck? What makes you want to do that? Like, what makes you just be like, oh yeah, today's the day to get fucked up forever. Today's the day to get fucked up for life. Shit, crazy.
If you do too much, you might feel restless and a bit anxious. As you'll see later, some people can get very aggressive. They can become paranoid and delusional.
Man, she fucking that
With
out.
all these quick and intense changes going on in your body, there's a risk of overdose, even on your first time. Maybe you didn't get the memo about not overloading your pipe. At best, you might just feel nauseous. At worst, you could be on your way to an early death. If you live in North America, you have the added danger of your crack possibly being mixed with
that
fentanyl.
fent.
It's the U.S.'s public enemy number one. In a 2023 study, 12 to 15% of cocaine samples that went to a lab contained this very strong synthetic opiate. Experts are calling this era of contamination the fourth wave of the opioid crisis, meaning a new wave of deaths. A guy in the U.S. was recently sentenced to 16 years in prison because the crack he sold was mixed with fentanyl, and 4 people died in a single.
So he not just sentenced because he out here selling crack. So if he was just selling crack, you wouldn't give a fuck. You only give a fuck because he was selling crack and it had fent in it. See what I'm saying? Some of y'all officers was out there buying them sacks, and one of y'all officers died for smoking that crack shit, right? And y'all got mad. Y'all was upset. Y'all like, oh, this nigga done killed one of ours. It ain't the fact he was selling crack. It's the fact he was selling crack and that crack had fentanyl in it. Yeah, fucked up, man.
Day. The National Institutes of Drug Abuse, or NIDA, said there were just over 27,000 overdose deaths from cocaine mixed with opioids, mostly fentanyl, in 2022. For most of the 2000s, it was less than 5,000 a year. NIDA said there have been many deaths involving all kinds of stimulants, stating that drug overdose deaths involving stimulants rose from around 12,000 in 2015 to over 57,000 in 2022. Nearly 70% of stimulant-involved overdose deaths in 2022 also involved fentanyl. From 2000 to 2014, the death rates were anywhere from about 3,000.
Damn, fent been around for a little minute. Goddamn, fent been around since 2000. Nigga been smoking on fent since 2000. This shit just got out of hand then. Cause I didn't know about fentanyl way back then. I was in 2000. I probably was like 2 months old or some shit. 3 months old. I was born in 1999. But I didn't know this shit was around. We wouldn't go. You know, in school they be like DARE. They had a DARE program. Don't do drugs. Don't do this shit. Don't do this shit. Right? I ain't never heard on the DARE program, don't smoke fent. You know what I'm saying? This is like some new shit.
To 10,000. But you don't need fentanyl
to
die on crack. Your blood vessels start to constrict, your heart starts to beat like a drum and bass song, and your blood pressure goes through the roof. This might be more intense because you've been drinking alcohol. When you mix the two, a psychoactive metabolite called cocaine,
fat ass stomach, big ass stomach, disgusting ass stomach, nipple in the middle of your stomach,
ethylene can be produced. This makes the whole crack experience even more intense. It can lead to cocaethylene toxicity, which is associated with seizures, liver damage, and compromised functioning of the immune system. It's said that cocaethylene can make the risk of an immediate death on crack 18 to 25 times more likely. In a study of 124 dead crack users in the 1990s,
this shit
10%
crazy.
of the deaths were from.
I'm going to show you guys how my style went from this to this.
Me no, get no fuck. Me no, get no fuck. Fuck you in your ad, cause me no, get no fuck.
The rest died from diseases and murder. So even on that first time, you can draw the short straw by doing the wrong pipe.
Yeah.
Maybe you keep hitting that pipe all night and then suddenly you have chest pain. This might be acute cocaine toxicity, which can have lethal effects on the cardiovascular system. You can die from stroke or heart attack. Many of the cocaine-related ER visits in the U.S. are people complaining of chest pain, since coke inflames the heart muscle and makes it harder for the heart to
That man said coke inflames the heart muscle.
contract. The pain could be an aortic rupture. We guess another term for that is an exploding heart, but don't quote us on that. You can even overheat like an old car you decided to floor all the way to Las Vegas.
Hell no.
On the ground dying from hyperthermia. And then there's the risk of seizures. This can also happen on your first ever crack odyssey, especially if you hit that pipe hard. In 1986, the American basketball star Len Bias took some cocaine, not crack cocaine, had a seizure and died. The medical examiner said the normal electrical control of his heartbeat was interrupted, resulting in the sudden onset of seizures and cardiac arrest.
What is that noise?
We don't know how much coke he'd done in his life, but he was 22 and supremely fit, and we doubt his career allowed him to be stoned every day of the week. You obviously don't have to be a chronic abuser to go down with a seizure. But let's say you survived your first night on crack, and like so many other people...
And he said, let's say you survived your first night on crack. Just like other people, you're going to want some more. And you're going to get that shit by any means necessary.
On the planet, you gave it another shot. While crack isn't as physically addictive as a drug like heroin, it is very, very psychologically addictive. In 2022, about 920,000 people aged 12 or older in the US bought crack, but it's not certain how many kept buying it. It's thought about 10 to 20% of users in general will become addicted. You being you,
y'all don't get addicted to that crack shit, man. That shit ain't good for you,
started smoking
man.
enough rocks.
Shit ain't good for you at all, my boy.
One of the problems with this was extreme agitation. You became paranoid during your daily binges, just like 68 to 84% of users who do crack long term. One day you looked out of the window and you swore you saw FBI agents hiding in the garden. This was cocaine-induced psychosis.
That nigga said he swore he saw them people in the garden. I swear they in the bushes. They watching.
All that dopamine rushing around in your brain has a downside, which is anger, aggressiveness, hallucinations, delusions, and other psychotic symptoms.
Of shit.
The extra norepinephrine, a hormone that crack gives you, also doesn't help. It puts you in a super alert state all the time. So you're constantly in fight or flight mode, which is bad for your heart and blood pressure, but also it messes with your mind. As we said at the start, the worst thing that can happen when you lose your mind on crack is delirium. Not just a paranoid hallucination, but all-out delirium. This can actually kill you. Medical papers called it excited delirium.
That man said excited delirium.
The term acute exhaustive mania. In 2005, a man in the U.S. had a fight with cops outside a fast food restaurant. The man was restrained and then collapsed and died. Excited delirium was blamed. Being held down seems to make it worse. In a study, coked-up rats also didn't like being restrained, dying more often than coked-up rats allowed to run around and do drug-fueled rat things. So now you've been on crack for a while, You've experienced
Yeah, so
paranoia.
now you've been
Your
on
heart
crack
is
for a
becoming
while.
damaged from the constant work it has to do, but you've also noticed it's becoming a bit harder to breathe. The reason for that is a thermal injury to your throat. After all, you have been taking in really hot smoke all day for months on end. The other day, you passed out and you had to be taken to a hospital. Doctors told you that you had crack lung. The symptoms are a bit like pneumonia. An acute case can happen up to 48
Pneumonia from
hours
crack
after your last
cocaine.
smoke. Another symptom of smoking crack day in, day out is bronchitis. You could also get chronic obstructive
God.
pulmonary
Man.
disease or
Oh, God. You
COPD.
scared-
So after
Like, what the fuck is this? Was that your head? Nigga done put a head on my back.
that initial rocket ride, things are not looking too good these days. But it's gonna get worse. Your teeth have started
Why it's
falling
so
out.
warm
For
like
one
that?
thing, since you started smoking crack, you don't care much about dental hygiene. All that really matters to you is getting your next rock. On top of that,
You said, man, he don't give a fuck about his teeth. What the fuck? Why it's so warm? He don't give a fuck about his teeth. He don't give a fuck about his health. He don't give a fuck about none of that shit. He say he want to walk around with Tic Tacs in his mouth.
of your life clenching your
Chipped
teeth
up
while you're
Tic Tacs.
high, which has weakened them. And then the crack constantly entering your mouth means less saliva production, and this also is bad for your teeth. Then came the constant stomach aches, which are a
Damn.
result of what's sometimes called crack belly. Reduced blood flow to all your organs is not good, and that includes your gastrointestinal system. Your rocket ship is broken. The FBI is still in your garden, now armed with Mossad agents, Osama bin
Damn.
Laden and Mr. Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street. And the fact is, at some point you probably ran into fentanyl-laced rocks and you might not wake up from them. If you get out now, you might be able to reverse some of the damage you've done. Once the money runs out, you might end up like 46% of users in a study in the US who committed a violent crime to get more crack. Crack messes with your brain's prefrontal lobe,
That
the
shit
part that
crazy.
regulates impulse control. So doing something stupid to get your next hit becomes more possible. Sure, if you stop now, you'll experience intense anxiety and cravings during the initial crash, and there will be a period of intense depression, anxiety, and even some hostility and paranoia, but the sun will come out again once your brain regains its normal non-crack addicted circuitry. Just don't go back on it again.
Yeah, don't
If
do
you
that
You
again.
might experience the kindling effect, which means a lot of the psychiatric symptoms, the paranoia, the seizures, the psychosis, and suspiciousness seem to happen with lower doses. Now you need to watch the real.
All right, y'all. That was the infographic. Yeah, the infographic channel, infographic show. What happens to your body when you smoke crack? All y'all out there that's having thoughts of thinking about going to go smoke some crack, I don't know why you would be thinking that. Don't do it, bro. You just seen all the things that'll happen to you if you smoke that crack cocaine shit, man. Take care of yourself. Don't smoke that. It's not helpful. It's more harmful than helpful. You're gonna lose your teeth. You're gonna look old as hell. Your stomach might fall out. And yeah, man. I don't think I need to say no more. Don't do crack. You know what I'm saying? Just don't do crack. And you will be alright. Y'all tune in for the next video. I'm gonna give y'all another one of these, but it'll probably be a different one. Of course it's gonna be a different one because that mean I'll be making the same upload, whatever. Y'all have a great one. I'm out this thing.